Why couldn't you have taken, why could I just ask you, why couldn't you have used the law that you already had available to you to arrest these people if they were breaking the law?
I'm afraid, you see, India is not a small country like the UK. It is a very big country and very complex problems.
Why was it necessary to remove from every individual in India, and in particular from the tens of thousands who were put in prison, their right to go to court and put their case, their right indeed to know why they'd been detained? Why did you remove those rights?
Well, I would like to say with all respect that all this is happening today. There is no emergency in India, but 23,000 teachers who are non-political have been arrested for merely non-violent, peaceful demonstrations for certain demands.
But that isn't a justification, surely, for what happened under you.
No, but you have to see that if some things are happening all the time, it's not necessarily that something happened in emergency. If the police have indulged in excesses, they have been doing so before, during, and now, since
But this is a different case, I'm going to do. Your Home Minister said at the time, and I think rather neatly, if perhaps cynically pinpointing the issue, no fundamental rights, he said, have been taken away from any individual, just their right to go to court to enforce their rights. Now that was under the special powers that you took.
That was, but it
We're not talking about abuse by minor officials, we're talking about state policy.
That is true, but it was just for a very limited period. And we have in wartime a lot of political rights and civil rights are taken away from people, and this for India was as serious as a war period, because it did threaten our very survival.
Why was it necessary, Mrs. Gandhi, to forbid newspapers to report the speeches of MPs in Parliament?
No, I think censorship was not properly managed, and initially we thought it would be for a very brief period and some code of conduct would be worked out.
That's remarkable, I think. But you say the purpose of pre-censorship, this is government regulations, is to guarantee certain safeties for the state. The chief censor must see everything that's published, and speeches of members of Parliament must not be published in any manner or form. Only speeches of ministers. I mean, was that necessary to defend India from collapse?
For a short period, yes, because as I said, the situation was more or less going out of control, and it was necessary. There is which developing country has been able to go ahead. Only India has tried this experiment of having social and economic changes through peaceful and democratic means. Now, when these means were threatened, we took a temporary measure. It was I who revoked. I declared the emergency, but also I who revoked
immediately before the elections, 21 months later.
Well, certainly, but then I did hold the elections. I don't think there's a single instance in world history of this happening.
That seems a curious grounds on which to justify the complete removal of the freedom of the press in India.
I'm very sorry, I'm not justifying, I'm just showing.
But you don't like the newspapers?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that the newspapers are part of a force which is there to obstruct the social and economic changes which we want to bring about.
And you tried to turn it into a force to support what you were doing?
No, we are not interested in support, but we are interested in not having the obstructions.
The evidence, Mrs. Gandhi, shows that during that period, for instance, All India Radio during that period, in 1 month, December 76, had over 2,000 lines reporting government statements, 34 lines recording opposition statements.
I'm sure you'll find exactly the same in All India Radio today.
So this is just a frailty in any case of the freedom of the
radio. Whether it is or
not,
I don't know, but it's no use picking out something out of context. This is what I'm trying to show.
The Shah Commission said that the reasons for the measures taken against the media in general and the press in particular was to keep, and this is on the basis of the evidence put to him, was to keep the public in ignorance, to instill fear in them, thereby suppressing dissent in every form, individual, political, parliamentary, judicial. It was used as an instrument of news management aimed at thought control.
Okay, if you want to give a lecture on the Shah Commission, you needn't have me here. You can give it anyway, as other media are doing. We do not accept the Shah Commission's report, and the people of India do not accept it. They have shown that he is quite irrelevant. His remarks and his findings to the situation which prevailed earlier and the situation which prevailed during the emergency, before the emergency, or after. How does Mr. Shah know what is happening in the political world? What are the forces at work which want to destroy a developing economy? Is a judge competent to decide that? Then why have democracy? Why have elections? Why have political people in power?
It was a commission of inquiry which a lot of democracies
No, it was not.
use.
It was a purely vindictive action by the present government. It's very interesting that of the cases referred to the Shah Commission, they did not want to inquire into any cases except those against me or those whom they considered my supporters. They did not even record the evidence or of those who said anything in my favor. He just said this is irrelevant. In the courtroom itself, they had a picked crowd which jeered us. Anybody who wanted to, I mean, we didn't want cheering, but if anybody did, that person was thrown out. I mean, when you take up a thing, you should try and find out the whole background and what has actually happened.
I won't.
I mean, to us, it doesn't matter what the British media says. It's quite irrelevant to India. But it shows that you are divorced from the facts and divorced from what the people are thinking. And if you're not bothered about what the people are thinking, then you shouldn't talk about democracy.
I certainly am bothered what the people are thinking, and of course one's concerned to try and establish the basis on which they might or might not hold particular judgments.